stopping by to my channel, Stitch Roadies. I am going to stitch with you today, or you're going to stitch with me. Let's hope we're stitching. I have not had, I know it's only been a short time since my last video, but I thought I would kick off May, because you know, in the cross stitch floss tube world, I guess this is my first May with cross stitch floss tube, and apparently it's almost like Christmas. I mean, everyone's excited. Everyone has a different dream about how they want to proceed through May, and let me tell you, having some dreams and something positive to think about this month is awesome, awesome. Because I know some of you have already gotten the notice that you're still sheltering in place until June and into June. I know for us, it is a let's see how it goes. We've not been released. The animals have not been released, but some things are starting to have less restrictions to them. Of course, we've all turned into kind of anxious. We've just gotten so anxious that to think about going out and facing what we can't see is somewhat disconcerting, you know. It is disconcerting, and I know for us, I noticed in the news today that the next town over, the Hobby Lobby is opening its doors. Now you would think I would just be like, get in the car, we're driving the 20 miles to Hobby Lobby, but no, my oldest son gave me the responsibility of protecting his dad, and by gosh, I want to play it on the safe side for a little while, which is quite different for me because it's not quite my personality. As a child, I was the child that my parents had to watch. My dad said, I walked the line. That girl walks the line. And, but in this case, I am not. I want to make sure that both G and I remain healthy. I'm desperate to see my grandchildren, so I don't want to do anything that might interrupt that chance. And so there you go. I am continuing to take one foot in front of the other. And here's the thing. I think two things. One is I am no longer going to look at the news before I go to bed. That's kind of a no-brainer. It's like I wanted to see if anything had changed, but all it did was rev my mind up. And secondly, I need to take it a day at a time. The not knowing and the wondering is just making me a little bit crazy. And so I can kind of manage a day at a time. So instead of paying attention to those headlines that are predicting, I am going to be in charge of my world one day at a time and see how that goes, because it's been kind of rough this last week. I don't know about you, but it's been kind of rough, and I need to look at each day. Each day, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it a day at a time. And this comes from a person who has a 5-year planner. I crack myself up, 5-year planner. Holy moly. But I have, I wanted to give you a little peek. Isn't this cute? This is my, I think it's called a Bitsy Bob. I don't know. The fabric is Harry Potter, which I'm a Harry Potter fan. And this is the Marauders map. And it just snaps open, and it's great for little projects. And so my first May project, and I am doing, everybody has a different agenda for May. And I'm like, those people that are like going for it. 31 new starts. Holy moly. Or even 20 new starts. They are rock stars, let me tell you. Rock stars. I'm an accordion player, not a rock star. Yeah, so I decided to do a new start every Friday because there were 5 Fridays. And that gave me one more than 4 Mondays. So it's just kind of fun to see what everybody's doing. But I think one of the things that helped me make my choices is finding out that some people's, now mind you, I've only been part of the FlossTube community since September. And so this is my first May event. And what's kind of frightening is that a lot of FlossTubers were talking about incorporating their May projects from last May into this May. Wow. Okay, that's a little bit frightening. It's a little bit frightening. So you might wonder, because in my last video I said that I was going to start with the new PDF download of Madame Chantilly's 4th of July. I so wanted to start that yesterday, but I brought out all the linen that I own, and not one felt right to me. There was one piece that I would have used had it been big enough, but it was not. So I thought I was going to, and I told Janine at Acorns and Threads when I got my last, when I sent her my last email, I told her, Janine, if you hear from me again, do not answer me. Yeah. She's so nice though, I know she'll answer me, but I really want her not to answer me. Because I think I'm gonna have to order that that linen, because here's the thing, for one thing, the called for linen is nowhere to be found, absolutely nowhere to be found. So I'm looking at other linens, and I can't find one that I trust the color on the website. It's very hard for me because of my lack of experience of different types of linens and colors to know what that color really is going to be like. And so I trust Janine that she'll know what I'm talking about and she'll send me the perfect piece. So I'm going to have to beg a little, because I did tell her not to answer my emails anymore. But it's a light gray. I want a very light gray, not a dark and stormy gray, but a light gray. And I can't really tell from the internet what those colors are. You know, I kind of want the gray that's kind of in the clouds right now. We have an overcast sky, lots of wind. You can tell there's lots of wind because the clouds are moving like really fast. They're just blowing right over us. I can still see the mountain, although today it's been appearing and disappearing regularly, depending on the cloud cover. And on the ranch, the irrigation is going on the ranch, and the irrigation is that big spray that goes, and it's so windy that I can see the water spraying this way and it's blowing this way. Yeah, so it's one of those. I mean, it is May 2nd. Happy birthday to my dad. My dad, this was his birthday. Yeah, this is his birthday. I wish he was still with us, but today's his birthday. So I'm going to celebrate and make chocolate chip cookies. Okay, I'm babbling and I've totally lost track of what I was saying. The water was spraying, and you can see that when the wind comes, that water just, it's not hitting the spot it's supposed to. It's spraying across the pasture. And sometimes we'll get coyotes. Oh man, the chorus of coyotes is amazing. One of the neighbors caught a picture of a wolf crossing the pasture there. So, you know, you don't let your cats or little dogs out. Not around here. We're just too close to the wild here. And, yeah, it's a sweet, sweet spot. It's a sweet spot. And yesterday we had just the most soul-filling day, taking a nap in the van and having snacks and drinks and going for walks along the Metolius River. It was just heaven. Absolute heaven. Yeah. Little slice here. Little slice. And then last night, there was, see, our town is, I am totally, okay, here's the ADHD brain coming out, because I'm like all over the board. But we go from one event to another, from spring all the way to fall, one event after another. And so I really empathize with all of those towns and cities that are not going to be having those events. And if they do try to eke out the event, it won't be the same as what you experienced. And so there's some real grieving that has to happen, some real loss. And everything for us has been canceled except for the folk festival, because it's not till September. So it's a little further out, and we have to see what happens with the opening, the soft openings that are occurring. But the folk festival, just to give you an idea, it more than quadruples the population of our little town. And they bring folk singers from all over the world. I mean, really all over the world. And names you would recognize and names you would wonder about. But they all come to this little town, and the entire town embraces it, much like the quilt show. And so there are tents, event tents, all over town, in all the parks, and in the restaurants that have patios, there are events set up there. It's amazing to see, because there really is nothing that fills the soul more than art and music. And so we're just, you know, I know that we'll survive, but you don't want one more thing to get canceled. And so what's been going on the last 3 days has been a big flatbed truck, and everyone around here there's just a whole bunch of flatbed trucks because we're in the middle of a ranch in Forest. And so on the back of the flatbed truck is amplifiers and a couple of chairs because there's only one or two musicians, and they're playing folk music as the flatbed truck drives around the town. And so yesterday they went down our street. I ran outside. I'm telling you, it made me cry. Those tomatoes were so beautiful in the store. It's like everything beautiful. Not just the sad, but the beauty or kindness makes me cry. And just hearing those two guys up there singing, oh, it's a gift. It is a gift. And I think we have to realize that, everybody has something. You hear it on social media. Oh, your problems are nothing. There's people dying, yes, and it's horrific. But a wedding having to be canceled, a grandchild's birth not being there, children to see, friends to miss, it's all our pain, and we deserve to grieve about it. We need to grieve about it, because we will move on. And there are worse things. But in this moment, this is my pain, and I'm okay with holding it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it was just wonderful to see that music and then hope that the folk festival happens. Beautiful music here. Beautiful music. Yeah. So yesterday, where was I? Today's my dad's birthday. I told you that already. And yesterday was May 1st. And for me, it was the first day. So I had to pick a different start than what I had intended. And I decided that I was going to do this one. Because when I saw my friend Sandy had stitched it, I knew that I had this for a long time in my, I bought this years ago on a quilting retreat field trip to the coast. We stopped in Corvallis at a cross-stitch shop, I believe, and it was pre-floss tube days. I was just a solitary cross-stitcher, and quilting was my whole life. Now I'm balancing two worlds, but I knew that I had this. So when I saw Sandy stitching it, I said, that's going to be one of my starts. So I decided to make it the first one. And it's in this little bitsy bob thing. I think that's what this is called. It's by That's So Kelly. So she has an Etsy shop. So That's So Kelly. And this is how far I got yesterday. Yeah. Gonna be a fun stitch. Fun stitched. And I found this little piece of scrap linen that I got from someplace. But I like this little holder for this small project. See? So, May is off to a good start. And then, the only other thing I've been working on, is the birthday gift for a birthday in May. So, but it's such an odd shape, and I'm kind of worried about finding a frame for it. And I looked on the pattern. The pattern is Vintage Needle Arts, and I like the frame that's on there. But I have looked all over this pattern, and it doesn't say anything about the frame. So I'm just going to have to figure out what I'm going to do. But I've made some great progress. I like my little needle minder. Can't remember where I got that from, but it has a little goldfish inside of a light bulb, and then I use that great DMC shiny thread on the fin, and I love that. So we're just going to stitch together as I chat. Yes. One needs friends to stitch with. So I think 5 is a manageable amount. I think it's a manageable amount of new starts, considering that I have so many whips. I mean, I don't have a lot of whips compared to some of you out there. Yeah, and you know who you are. But I think that 5 kind of I know there's some people that are not going to do it at all, and I get it. I get it. But there's something about when you start a new start, it kind of invigorates you about everything else, and so that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, I know I ordered a project bag about 3 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything. I'm gonna have to follow up on that. I know it's a person who does a lot of project bags, so I wonder what happened. Yeah. I'll have to find out. I need a little bit of light. Let's put a little light on the matter. So our dip into cable TV. It's kind of a love-hate relationship. I don't like all the commercials. I really don't like all the commercials. And we don't have one of those smart TVs or one that you can record so you can fast forward through commercials. Ours isn't like that, and we're not inclined to buy a new TV. I'm just not, neither of us is motivated. Neither of us is motivated. But there's just a whole lot of commercials. And I forgot to put my little center. There we go. Yeah, so I'm not sure, although admittedly I am addicted to HGTV already. I just like it. I mean, maybe it's because I grew up in that building and remodeling life, and I have continued, G and I have continued with that. Let's see. Yeah. But I just really, I think that's my favorite channel. That and PBS. You know, and PBS we got without any cable. But yeah. I like this little thing I have. I don't know where I got it. It just holds paper, And so I can just hold the pattern in there and see it, or it's readily available. Going around the corner. Yeah. Who would have thought that I would not have had a piece of linen that would work? But none of them did I like. And you know, when you stitch a long time on something, you kind of want to like what you're stitching. And I had all of the threads except for 3, which was great. So I laid all of those threads on top of all the different pieces of linen. And there was one piece that was like an ice blue that would have been very nice, except it wasn't big enough. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go begging to Janine because I just can't tell color on the internet. And it just makes me realize too that, you know, Java Girl and Becca from Sambry Stitches, you know, they are so far ahead of the game because of their FFO supplies, and I have a minimal amount of that, you know, and no place to shop for it. I'm going to plan differently for the next quarantine. Yeah. No! I don't want a next one. I don't want a next one. That's why I'm trying to be really good. I don't want a next one. I don't want to be part of that wheel that causes another one to come. But I am going to, there's things that you don't think about. Like I was on Zoom with my friend Marion, the librarian, and she was talking about this little little tape. It's like a tape that's colored, and you can lift it up and put it down, and she uses it to keep track of where she is at in a pattern. I want some of that. I want some of that tape. You know, then you don't have to color. I just destroy my patterns generally, but you don't have to, you know, like I'm on my trees, I'm using a highlighter and marking off where I've stitched because that thing is, confetti heaven, heaven, confetti heaven. I think I might like to go there. Yeah, that might be a great heaven to go to. But confetti heavy patterns, that's what I was trying to say, generally means there's a lot of color changes. Now, the trees are all white, but I feel like they're confetti heavy because the trees, there's very little where you can like stitch a row. You're 1x, 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 1x. To me, that's, and I need to keep track of patterns that challenge me in that way, and that tape might be just the thing. So I'm going to stock up on that. What else am I going to stock up on? Oh, Fray Check. Oh my gosh, I got a bottle of Fray Check, but I'm going to always have a backup bottle because like this piece here, look at how it's not raveled at all. You know, the edge is not raveled. And I'm stitching in hand, mind you. And the reason it's not raveled is because I Fray checked the edge. Yeah, so I didn't even have to sew it. You know. so I freight checked it. So I think I need an extra bottle of freight check. I definitely need a bigger stash of floss, I think. Yeah. I think I need a bigger stash of floss. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And maybe a variety, more of a variety of linen, because I tend to, now this project, you know, I bought linen specifically for this project, but my linen stash looks like everything I'm stitching is going to be mine and mine alone, because it has a more prim look to it. Because that's generally what my house looks like. I mean, I have some other things that are not prim hanging. In fact, I don't know what I'm talking about. Our house, I remember we had a party here one time, and one of our guests brought guests of theirs that was visiting. And that gentleman, so I didn't know that gentleman. And I noticed that he was walking around our house looking at everything that was the artwork or the gewgaws, everything that was in our house. And so I walked up to him and I said, "How you doing?" And he goes, "You know," and he looks at this one particular piece and he says, "I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to do here." You know, because nowadays people tend to decorate to themes, and G and I have always decorated with what we loved, whether it went together or not. If we wanted to see something that, so there's no theme, you know, in our home. If there is a theme, it is, we have a lot of art, but no theme to the art, you know. It's just stuff we love. But I kind of looked at it through his eyes and I went, huh, yeah. And I said, it's just stuff we love. You know, and you know, we've inherited, or it was passed down to us from our parents, you know. And G's dad was a weaver. He would, I might have already told you this, but he would get wool. He would dye it with plants. He'd go out here in the forest and get plants and then naturally dye his wool. And then he would spin it. He had a big spinning wheel. He would spin it, and then he would weave. And some of his weavings won awards at the, you know, won ribbons at the fair and stuff, or weavers, you know, art shows or something like that. So there's a lot of things that represent our family history in our home, and we love that. It doesn't all go together, but it doesn't matter. We love it, you know, and we love seeing it. You know. Yeah. That's why G is such a great cook. His dad was a great cook. I mean, his dad used to can, and his dad bought a stove, a big iron stove from one of the Basque sheep herders out in eastern Oregon, and he put it on his deck here in Sisters, and he would do jam, he would can jam, he'd make chili. He won a chili contest one time with his chili. Yeah, so you know, it's, he comes from a good, good family line of cooks. So, so if you were going to plan, say you had to plan, like you got to go out and go shopping, but you knew that the governor was going to come down with another shelter in place. What items would you stock up on? I mean, what would be your go-to thing? I'm just really surprised because, you know, we went through the whole toilet paper thing, and what I don't get is now it's flour, which is quite interesting because flour, I used to shop off of the King Arthur's website, which they do all kinds of baking items, and they said in the news that it's not that there's a shortage of wheat. There's not a shortage of wheat. There is a challenge in the milling of the wheat, and then the distribution is, the orders are coming in faster than the wheat can be milled. And they said it's because people who like baked only at the holidays, they're suddenly baking every month. And the people who were monthly bakers are baking every week. And then people who baked weekly are now baking daily. And so that's what's causing this. But it's kind of weird when you go into the store, what is missing? And for 2 weeks, G and I have not been able to get tofu. I mean, we did this last week, but let me tell you, that was disconcerting to us because we're going, tofu? Why is there no tofu? And the gal at the little store here in Sisters said that it was distribution. It's getting the product from wherever it's made to here. And yeah, so I mean, it's kind of funny because when you think about the meat packing, there were, I think, 4,600 meat packers that tested positive for the COVID virus. That's just outrageous. And yet the meat counter is packed. I mean, the supply chain is still happening there. But tofu? No. It's such a weird thing. And so you never know week to week what product is going to disappear from the shelf. And it makes you somewhat of a hoarder, you know, of what you like to have. Because if you see it, you're like, oh, I'm getting it. I'm taking this whole shelf of stuff right here. Because you don't know when it's going to come again. I tell you. It's just a strange world we're in. Strange, strange world. Oh. So tell me what things would you put on your list? I'm almost thinking about taking up canning again also. Jesus, no canning. But it makes me think about it because we live in an area that there's a limited growing season. very limited growing season. And so it just means that, we're getting fabulous vegetables and fruits right now, but come wintertime, not so much. So you think about those things. You think about your grandmas. What did grandma do? We had such a lovely day yesterday, walking out on the trail by the Metolius River, the fresh air. It was, we both took naps in the van. Yeah. We ate lunch out there, listened to the water. There's zero cell service out there, though. I mean, zero. When you go out there, you're not going to be able to contact anybody. I'm almost getting to a spot where I might stop. Oh, this is going to be so cute. I just hope I can figure out how to FFO it. It's awful quiet. You're not talking. Yeah. Been having fun on Zoom. Yeah. Been having lots of fun on Zoom. Talked, my friend Marion, the librarian, who does this catty cross stitch. Look at that, she made this for me for this mermaid project. Isn't that cute? She has an Etsy shop. It was fun just sitting and talking with her and catching up, and it's hard. It's hard when you're by yourself too. She's by herself because then you don't have anybody to bounce off or kind of have a conversation with. And I don't know. Sometimes when I have a conversation with myself, we get into a knockdown, drag out fight. So it's better to have a conversation with somebody else in the room. And so when you're by yourself, I just think that would be so difficult. And it reminds me of stitching between the lines. I think it was a few floss tubes ago. She said that she was like in her indoor socks walking around, and she saw a shadow go across the front of her house. Someone walked by, and she couldn't get out there fast enough to just maybe shout to another person, see another person's face, and they had already gone. I totally get that. It's like, oh my gosh. It's just like, oh, this is going to be so cute. I'm doing the lace around the sign. Yeah, this is going to be very cute. I hope I can figure out either a frame, find a frame, order a frame. This is such an odd size though. You know, it's such an odd size. So, yeah, I'm going to have to do some hunting for a frame for this. Because I don't think I have anything around here that will work as that's the right size to work as a piece for FFOing. And I know one of you suggested maybe G could take up building frames. I asked him that, and he said, that isn't really on my list, which is interesting because G, when I met him, he used to do fine woodworking. He has built dulcimers, which are Appalachian string instruments. He did some beautiful carving. He is his father's son, so he has an artistic bent to him that, you know, he did. We always had a dark room in our house until the last couple houses because he used to burn and dodge his photographs. Yeah, so I would think building frames for me would be just a piece of cake, but he just didn't seem too excited about it, you know. Dang. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's getting grayer and grayer. Oh, isn't it supposed to be May flowers? April showers, May flowers? Huh. Yeah, so I really feel for you all that are know for sure that you're staying in place till June. I have a feeling that's us too, but somehow not having it like out there on a headline makes it more tolerable. But maybe you can join me in my living in the moment day by day. That means we don't get to freak out about no floss. We don't get to freak out about no linen. We just don't get to freak out. It'll be a challenge, let me tell you. Yeah, it'll be a challenge. But I sure have enjoyed this day, this gloomy day, being here with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for your comments. I mean, I grieve with you. I rejoice with you. I laugh with you, and I cry with you. We're just here for each other. That's all there is to it. That is how we're going to get through this. And I'm wearing my mask for you. You and you and you. That's who I'm wearing my mask for. You take care. Love you guys.